Please be seated. Dean Thomas, Associate Provost Mintz, Father Spahn, distinguished guests, members of the faculty, members of the 2012 class, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2012 commencement exercises for the Georgetown ESADE Global Executive Master of Business Administration program. I am Melissa Trotta, Associate Dean of Executive Degree Programs at the McDonough School of Business, and I am honored to serve as Master of Ceremonies this afternoon. We will begin our ceremony with an invocation delivered by Father Stephen Spahn of the Society of Jesus. Following the invocation, Professor Stanley Nolan will read the Georgetown University Charter. Please stand for the invocation.
Let us call to mind that we are in the holy presence of God. Blessed are you, Lord God of all creation, for through your goodness we have this glorious day to offer you, a day to celebrate the achievements of your sons and daughters. Open our eyes to see you in one another. Open our ears to hear the reflections to be offered, to encourage and challenge. Open our hearts to feel deeply with and for your world. Stir us to gratitude for the blessings we have known and inspire us to prepare for those yet to come. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. In 1815, Georgetown's president, Reverend John Grassi of the Society of Jesus, asked our first student, then Congressman William Gaston, for whom this hall is named, to present a petition for a federal charter. The bill passed the House and the Senate in February 1815 and was signed by the president on the same day the Senate ratified the Treaty of Peace ending the War of 1812. Accordingly, it is our custom to initiate academic ceremonies with the reading of the Charter. It reads as follows. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that it shall and may be lawful for such persons as now are, or from time to time may be, the president and directors of the College of Georgetown within the District of Columbia to admit any of the students belonging to said college or other persons meriting academical honors to any degree in the faculties, arts, sciences, and liberal professions to which persons are usually admitted in other colleges or universities of the United States, and to issue in an appropriate form the diplomas or certificates which may be requisite to testify to the admission of such degree. Signed, Langdon Cheeves, Speaker of the House of Representatives, John Gayar, President pro tempore of the Senate, approved March 1, 1815, James Madison.
Good afternoon. I am Jaume Ugues, Executive Director for Executive Education at the ESADE Business School. As you know and appreciate, part of the strength of any degree program is the academic content. It is now my pleasure to introduce the program's academic directors who are responsible for the curriculum and other content. Professor Paul Almeida and Professor Pedro Parada. Each will now present a few personal reflections about the class and the experience shared during the last 14 months. Professors Almeida and Parada.
Dr. Angelou, deans, GEMBA graduates, colleagues, parents, spouses, families, and friends. First of all, to our graduates, congratulations. We are proud of your class. So many interesting careers, areas of work experience, varied backgrounds. You all have come together to create a community and a rich learning experience. We are sure the journey was not always easy. There were many intended and some unintended challenges. There was homework, jet lag, quizzes and papers, late nights and very early mornings. There were integrative courses of every kind, journeys to faraway places, experiences of distant cultures and practices as well. And through all this, you grew with each other and closer to each other. You've grown in terms of skills and tools, techniques, but perhaps more importantly, in terms of wisdom. You have grown in terms of how you see yourself and how you see the world. And with you, we have grown too, all of us. We are not sure if you know this, but for many of us, the greatest joy of our academic lives is the time we spent with you in the classroom. Maybe not grading, but definitely teaching. We are excited every time we have class with you. We are excited to interact with you, to discuss solutions, approaches, and puzzles that need collective wisdom to probe and understand. And we leave class each time with a more fulfilled and, we believe, smarter persons. Through your buy-in, your enthusiasm, your commitment, you create a unique and exciting classroom and program experience. For this, we thank you and we celebrate.
Thank you, Pedro. Today, we celebrate not just your achievements, but the future. You are also a part of a great academic tradition. Look around you. Look at these amazing walls. This historic hall is painted with the seals of Catholic and Jesuit universities from around the world. Indeed, global education has been, from very early on, a part of a grand Jesuit tradition, one from which I have benefited and one from which you benefit. Georgetown was created over 200 years ago, at the time of the birth of our country, in part to train the leaders of an emerging nation. 1789 seems like a long, long time ago, but in some ways, it isn't. Those were, I'm sure, troubled and confusing times. There were military actions, social, political, economic challenges. If you think about it, a lot has changed, and yet so little. Just think of the last few days, the terrible happenings in Colorado, and on the other hand, the wonderful pageantry of the Summer Olympics in London. Whatever we may believe about many of the issues, regardless of our political persuasions, our religious beliefs, our social beliefs, one fact is irrefutable. There is a need for leadership. As our dean says, transformational leadership. Leadership that is courageous, like many of you mentioned yesterday, that will help lead ourselves and others forward. Our organizations, industries, and countries crave this leadership. This is why you came here. This is why we're glad you spent time with us. We believe you have the tools to make the difference. You have the legitimacy. Georgetown and ESADE's names resonate at so many levels around the globe. You have the networks to tap into, tens of thousands of alumni across more than 100 countries. I believe you have the confidence and the courage to know that you can tackle any challenge. We believe that you can, and we believe that you will make a difference, each in your own special way. Your degree and experience here will open up doors and new possibilities that you may even now not think possible. You will, in many cases, travel and work in new areas, industries, countries, and we will not see you as often. But wherever you go and whatever you do, please remember where you came from. Who or what is GEMBA and what is ESADE and Georgetown? We are lovely campuses, we are elegant buildings, we have wonderful scholarly faculty, we have caring staff, we are wonderful students, but most of all, Georgetown and ESADE are alumni, dispersed across industries, firms, activities around the globe. You are us. You are our strength. You are the ones who give meaning to our name. More than anyone on the podium here, you define us through your actions, by what you say, by what you do, and how you do it from this day on. We'll miss you. So wherever life takes you, please come home. Come home by hiring your colleagues here and across the years. Come home for referrals, for contact, advice, even if we give bad advice sometimes. Come home to share your expertise as teachers or guest lecturers. Come home to meet your colleagues, old and new. Come home to enrich what we are together. Come home just to say hello. I promise you, when you come home, we'll be waiting. We'll keep the light on. For you, Ahoyas, you are a part of ESADE and Georgetown, now and forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Professors Parada and Almeida. My name is Lonnie Smith, and I'm the Senior Associate Director of Executive Education. Congratulations to the class of 2012. It is my pleasure to introduce today's honored GEMBA speaker, Dr. Maya Angelou. Dr. Angelou is one of the most renowned and influential voices of our time. Hailed as a global Renaissance woman, Dr. Angelou is a celebrated poet, memoirist, novelist, educator, dramatist, producer, actress, historian, filmmaker, and civil rights activist. Born in St. Louis, Missouri, Dr. Angelou was raised in St. Louis and Stamps, Arkansas. As a teenager, Dr. Angelou's love for the arts won her a scholarship to study dance and drama at San Francisco's Labor School. Early in her career, Dr. Angelou toured Europe with the production of the opera Porgy and Bess, studied modern dance with Martha Graham, danced with Alvin Ailey on television variety shows, and in 1957 recorded her first album, Calypso Lady. In 1958, she moved to New York. She joined the Harlem Writers Guild, acted in off-Broadway production of Jean Genet's The Blacks, and wrote and performed Cabaret for Freedom. Dr. Angelou moved to Cairo, Egypt, where she served as an editor of the English language weekly, The Arab Observer. The next year, she moved to Ghana, where she taught at the University of Ghana's School of Music and Drama, worked as a featured editor in the African Review, and wrote for the Guyanese Times. During these years abroad, Dr. Angelou read and studied vernacularly, mastering French, Spanish, Italian, Arabic, and West African language Fati. While in Ghana, she met with Malcolm X, and in 1967 returned to America to help him build his new organization, the African American Unity. Shortly after her arrival in the United States, Malcolm X was assassinated, and the organization was dissolved. Soon after his assassination, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. asked Dr. Angelou to serve as the Northern Coordinator for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. With the guidance of her friend, the novelist James Baldwin, she began working on a book now to become I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, published in 1970. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings was published to international acclaim and enormous popular success. The list of her published verses, nonfiction and fiction, now includes more than 30 best-selling titles. A trailblazer in film and television, Dr. Maya Angelou wrote the screenplay and composed the score for the 1972 film, Georgia, Georgia. Her script, by the first African-American woman ever to be filmed, was nominated for a Pulitzer Prize. She continued to appear on television and in films, including the landmark television adaptation of Alex Haley's Roots in 1977 and John Singleton's Poetic Justice in 1993. In 1996, she directed her first feature film, Down in the Delta. In 2008, she composed poetry for and narrated the award-winning documentary, The Black Candle, directed by M.K. Asante. Dr. Angelou served on 2 presidential committees, was awarded the Presidential Medal of Arts in 2000, the Lincoln Medal in 2008, and has received 3 Grammy Awards. President Clinton requested that she composed a poem to read at his inauguration in 1993. Dr. Angelou's reading of her poem, On the Pulse of the Morning, was broadcast live around the world. She serves as Reynolds Professor on American Studies at Wake Forest University. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Maya Angelou to Georgetown University.
At last, at long last, you're finally here. Goodness gracious. There are so many people who are grateful that you're here. Not just you, and not just your professors or the administrators of this great and prestigious university, and not just your family, but many people whose names you'll never know, whose faces you'll never see, are grateful that you are here at last. And they also wonder, and so far. Yes, so you're here, how marvelous, and what will you do? There are those who are asking, I'm not asking you that, but you know that people are asking, so far. You're here. That is to say, there's an African statement which is, the trouble for the music student is not just how to take the professor's bugle, but where to blow it. Yes. So you're here, and I know you think, well, I've done it. And you have. And it's a great blessing. You bless us all with your hard work, with your work with purpose, with your understanding of where you are, who you are, and why you are, where you are. Yes, it's wonderful. However, having said that so far, what will you do now? I know that many of you think, please, give me a break. Yes, but still, what will you do? I know that I have to tell you a personal story so you will see why I'm asking that. First, there's a statement which is, rain had persisted so unrelentingly that people thought it would never cease. And God, in an attempt to put the people at ease, put a rainbow in the sky. That's in Genesis. However, in the 19th century, an African-American poet, probably a woman, I'm not sure about that, said, no, God didn't just put the rainbow in the sky. We know that suns and moons and stars and all sorts of comets and firmament are in the firmament. However, clouds can so lower and lower that the viewer can't see the possibility of illumination. However, if God put the rainbow in the clouds themselves, there's a possibility of seeing hope. And to see you, young men and women, to see you as hope, as rainbows in the clouds. Many people thought that they were coming to Georgetown so they could get that document, that diploma, that piece of paper and approval, and maybe meet that guy who's a couple of inches taller, a girl a couple of, and then find that piece of paper and get a job and be paid a little more than he's worth, and you know, really, and finally get the house with a 2-car garage and have 3.5 children. Many people thought so. That's not truly why you're here and why you're in this special place you're in this afternoon. You're here because there's a charge you have, a charge, and the charge is, one, to make this country more than it is today, more than what James Baldwin called these yet-to-be United States. That's part of your charge, to make this world a better world, to take responsibility for the time you take up and the space you occupy. Your charge is to realize you've already been paid for. Whether the ancestors came from Eastern Europe, trying to escape the pogroms, the little and large murders, arriving at Ellis Island, having their names changed to something utterly unpronounceable. If the ancestors came from Asia in the 1850s to build this country, unable legally to bring their mates for decades, or if the ancestors came from anywhere in Europe, from Ireland, from Greece, from Italy, if they came from Asia, anywhere, from Bangalore, if they came from Bengali, if they came from, alas, from Africa, unwillingly, lying spoon fashion in the filthy hatches of slave ships, and in their own and in each other's excrement and urine and menstrual flow, they have paid for each of you, each of us already. So a part of what your charge is to pay for someone else who is yet to come. It's amazing. It's honorable, it's onerous, it's difficult, but just think that you've already been paid for. And you know I'm not speaking about tuition. I'm not speaking of the loans you got, which you will deal with. I'm speaking of the real payment, the statement that I am a human being and nothing human can be alien to me. That statement is grand, vast, and it's your statement. And when it was made by Terence, and when you look in the encyclopedia under Terence, you will see with one R, you'll see Terentius Afer. He was an African, a slave, sold to a Roman senator. The senator freed him. He became the most popular playwright in Rome. 5 of his plays and that one statement have come down to us from 154 BC. This man, not born free or white, he didn't think ever to become a citizen in the Rome of his day. This man said, I am a human being. Nothing human can be alien to me. It is an amazement. Just the very idea that you can never say, oh, I couldn't do that. I could never do that, no matter how heinous, no matter how grand. I could never. I am a human being, and this is your encouragement. It is also your charge. Young men and women, we need you. I don't think I've listened to the speeches, and they're wonderful and encouraging and true. Not enough adults, that is to say, people who are older than you, not enough of us tell you how important you are, how imperative you are. If we're ever to be anybody, if we are to continue to be somebody, you are imperative, you are necessary. You're the best we have. We have no one better. And this day, I'm somewhere between laughter and tears. I'm so grateful for you. I'm grateful that you worked this hard. I'm grateful to your professors who worked that hard. I'm grateful to your parents who paid the dues for you. I'm grateful, and particularly young men and women, I'm grateful to you. I know that you are rainbows in the clouds. I know that. After I had written the inaugural poem for Mr. Clinton, I was asked by United Nations to write a poem for celebrating the 50th anniversary of United Nations. I was so amazed. I said yes quickly. Anytime you're asked to do a good thing, say yes quickly. Yes. And then if you have any sense at all, go to your pastor, your preacher, your rabbi, your imam. Go to somebody, go to some small children. Go to the library. Pray a lot so that you can be prepared to stand back, to back up your saying yes so quickly. I said yes. And then I remembered when United Nations was founded in San Francisco. I went down, I was so amazed. I went down to the place where United Nations, where the men and women were going in to the building in their varying clothes, the clothes of their nations. I saw Mrs. Eleanor Roosevelt go in with her friend, the black educator, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. I watched, and I used to just weep because there was a statement that people would be hired and would be paid $150 a week if they could speak languages. I knew I had a penchant for languages. And I thought if I could, well, I stood there, but mind you, I was 6 foot tall. I was black even then. And I was also pregnant and unmarried. And I thought if I could just go in that building, if I wasn't this and that, and if I was more that than this, and I could go in that building and I could speak all those languages and I could learn all that and I could teach somewhere. Of course I didn't, but I had so many rainbows in my clouds. So many black people and white people and Asian people, so many fictional characters, so many poets from the 19th century and the 18th century, I had so much that 50 years later I was asked to come. I was asked to go into United Nations and deliver this poem. I want this poem. I brought it so I could read it to you. And I'm going to have it put on your website. I want you to have this poem as my gift to you and your gift for those who are yet to come. It's called A Brave and Startling Truth. We, this people, on a small and lonely planet, traveling through casual space, past aloof stars, across the way of indifferent suns, to a destination where all signs tell us it is possible and imperative that we learn a brave and startling truth. And when we come to it, to the day of peacemaking, when we release our fingers from fists of hostility, when we come to it, when the curtain falls on the minstrel show of hate and faces sooted with scorn are scrubbed clean, when battlefields and coliseum no longer rake our sons, our unique, particular sons and daughters, up from the bruised and bloody grass to lay them in identical plots in foreign soil. When the rapacious storming of the churches, the screaming racket in the temples have ceased. When the pennants are waving gaily, when the banners of the world tremble stoutly in a good, clean breeze. When we come to it, when we let the rifles fall from our shoulders, and our children can dress their dolls in flags of truce. When landmines of death have been removed, and our aged can walk into their evenings with peace. When religious ritual is not perfumed by the incense of burning flesh, and childhood dreams are not kicked awake by nightmares of sexual abuse. When we come to it, when we will confess that not the pyramids with their stones set in mysterious perfection, nor the gardens of Babylon hanging as eternal beauty in our collective memory, not the Grand Canyon kindled into delicious color by western sunsets, nor the Danube flowing its blue soul into Europe, not the sacred peak of Mount Fuji stretching to the rising sun, neither Father Amazon nor Mother Mississippi, who without favor nurture all creatures in their depths and on their sides, on their shores. Those are not the only wonders of the world. When we come to it, we, this people, on this minuscule globe, who reach daily for the blade, the bomb, the dagger, yet who petition in the dark for tokens of peace. We, this people, on this mote of matter, in whose mouths abide cankerous words which challenge our very existence, yet out of those same mouths can come songs of such exquisite sweetness that the heart falters in its labor and the body is quieted into awe. We, this people, on this small and drifting planet, whose hands can strike with such abandon that in a twinkling, life is sapped from the living. Yet those same hands can touch with such healing, irresistible tenderness that the haughty neck is happy to bow and the proud back is glad to bend. Out of such chaos, of such contradiction, we learn that we are neither devils nor divines. When we come to it, we, this people, on this wayward floating body, created on this earth, of this earth, have the power to fashion for this body and for this earth a climate where every man and every woman can live freely without sanctimonious piety and without crippling fear. When we come to it, we must confess that we, this graduating class, we are the possible. This afternoon, we are the miraculous. We are the true wonder of this world. That is when, and only when, we come to it and we admit that we have the possibility of being rainbows in somebody's cloud who may not look like us, may not call God the same name we call God, if they call God at all, may not, in fact, know who we are, if we have the courage to be rainbows in somebody's cloud. And so I ask this wonderful group, and your faces are beautiful, beautiful to look at. I ask you, next. So far, you've done well. Next. Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to say to Dr. Maya Angelou, we're most grateful for your presence with us today. And your words remind us all that if we are to provide leadership that will make a difference in the world, we must lead first with our humanity, a sense of purpose, and of service. Your wisdom and your lived experience inspire us. It is with great humility that we offer you the small token of our appreciation represented in the package that I handed you here on stage. Thank you again for sharing this moment with us, Dr. Angelou.
We will now call forward our 2012 candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration. Will Dean Thomas take his place? And will Professors Almeida and Parada please come forward to hood the candidates? Jalma Ugas and I will now call forth the individual students. We ask that you please hold your applause until all students have returned to their seats. Adil Alawi. Michael Willie Anderson. Julia Astashkina. Daniel Todd Bradfield. Katrina Kane. Christian G. Campbell. Patiwat Sengpaira. Laura Comendador Frutos. Connor James Duncan. Stefan Egel. Francisco Javier Gutierrez. Brett Jackson. Colin Johnson. Kashina Katakdong. Morgan Kelleher. Doug Knott. Bipin Pradeep Kumar. Alan Langridge. Colleen Joy Litkenhouse.
Rishikesh Malesh. Raúl Maldonado. Erin McEachran. Carles Menescal González. Murat Mukashev. Sergio Narváez. Philippe Njouisi. Orochi Ogan. Ilker Ozparka. Mayra Kuresi. Ana María Prudno. Hug Regal. Perry Reyes. Jocelyn Rowe. Adam Schindler. Julian Lissuat. Mona Tandon. Maxim Timoshin. Maaman Touré. Now Ushio. And Shingo Yanoshita.
Dean Thomas, as Associate Dean of Executive Degree Programs in the McDonough School of Business at Georgetown University, and on behalf of our colleagues at ESADE, I have the honor to present to you the candidates for the degree of Master of Business Administration. When these candidates have been duly examined and recommended by the faculty and approved by the Board of Directors, I ask that you bestow on these students the degrees in course. Will the candidates please rise?
You look great. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Congress of the United States and by the President and Board of Directors of Georgetown University, I officially confer upon you the recommended candidates, the degree of Master of Business Administration. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to present to you the class of 2012 of the Georgetown University ESADE Global Executive MBA program. Congratulations. And now, ladies and gentlemen of the class of 2012, please extend a heartfelt thanks to a group of people who've worked very hard during these past 14 months in supporting you. With the parents, spouses, children, families, and friends of the members of the class of 2012, please rise and be recognized by the class. Fabulous. So now it's my turn to say a few words. First, let me start by saying that I'm honored to stand before you and join with your friends and family to celebrate your achievement. I'm also indebted to you because of how warmly you have embraced me in my first year as Dean of Georgetown University's McDonough School of Business. As I recall, I think that you were the first group that I ever spoke to here when I arrived. So you marked the beginning of my first year, as well as you now mark the beginning of my legacy as Dean. So we will be forever entwined as you step away. What you do from here, it's not just about you, but it's about Georgetown's McDonough School of Business, and it's about the vision that we have charted. And I have no doubt that you're prepared. So today also marks the end of my graduation season. My first graduation season here as Dean of the McDonough School of Business. We had 2 graduations at the end of May, and now this is the 3rd graduation that I will have presided at. And I'd never done a graduation before as a dean. So it's actually quite nerve-wracking, because the only thing I ever noticed a dean doing at any graduation I had been at was just handing out diplomas. That seemed pretty easy. And then I was told, no, you're going to have to give a talk. I thought, well, I got to give a talk. So, like what do deans do when they give talks? I never paid attention to what any of them had said in any of the graduations I had been to. So I, got on social media and sent out on, Facebook. I said, I got to give this talk. What should I do? And the answers all came back, and it boiled down to one thing: say something wise. And that made me even more terrified about this task, because on most days I'm not wise. And the hard thing about wisdom is it's usually not there when you need it. So I gotta call it forth, gotta be wise. But my daughter saved me, because she shot me back a quick Facebook message, and I was like, what does that mean, be wise? And she said, go to Twitter. So now I had to come off my mediated form of communication. This is my 23-year-old daughter, who recently, last year, graduated from college and has gone on, is making a great life for herself, making me very proud. So I said, okay, I got to get off social media now. I got to call her up and actually talk voice to voice. I said, well, what do you mean go to Twitter? She said, well, Daddy, you tweet a lot, and every once in a while, you say something wise. I said, oh, okay. So I went to Twitter and looked over the tweets that I had sent out over the last year, and realized that since I had come to the McDonough School of Business, it's not infrequent that I tweet things with you, my students, and I don't know if that sounds a bit too old-fashioned or paternalistic, but I think of you as my students. I tweet with you in mind. So I thought maybe the way to be wise was to look at those tweets and ask myself, which ones would I want you to walk out holding close in your hearts and in your minds, holding as challenges for how you might live your life? And I identified 5. So tweet number 1: if you are not part of the solution, then you are part of the problem. So choose. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. So choose and take responsibility for that choice. Tweet number 2: be the difference. And anybody who's followed me has probably seen that tweet more than once, because when I walk around the world and I'm inspired by something, by somebody who is being the difference between what is and what they think should be. And to remember that any one of us decides to be the difference may not make the difference, but imagine a world where each person in your class around something they think is important made the choice to be the difference. The multiplicative effect, the ripple effect. Just each of you here making that choice. Tweet number 3: to transform the world, we must continually transform ourselves. And some of you have heard me talk about my vision for the McDonough School of Business, and it starts with a transformational educational experience. I hope that in some way each of you experiences yourself different now from how you could have imagined experiencing or seeing yourselves when you came in this door. But that process of transformation does not end here. It has to be continuous. We at the McDonough School of Business are committed to transforming ourselves in order to help to transform the world. And we have to make that commitment one by one each day. Tweet number 4, no success at work will make up for failure at home. No success at work will make up for failure at home. And tweet number 5, and I was very proud of myself because I was actually able to get tweet number 5 into 140 characters, because it's actually what I think of as wisdom taken from a Hindu folktale. And the context for this folktale is that there was a man, and he went to a high priest in his village because he wanted to know the secret to wealth, the secret to affluence. So the man went to the priest and he asked the priest, so what's the secret to wealth? And the priest first informed him that, wealth, I think of wealth as affluence, and that is that each day the world brings you what you need in it, in an effortless way. He says, so then the priest says, the secret to wealth is pretty simple. There are 2 goddesses, the goddess of money and the goddess of knowledge and innovation. Seek after one, and the other will get jealous and seek after you. Seek after the goddess of knowledge and innovation, and the goddess of money will get jealous and seek after you. So, I'm out of wisdom. Those are my 5 tweets, my 5 wise tweets. But I'm filled with the anticipation of what you will do and the positive difference you will make in this world. A world that needs so much leaders like you. Leaders like you are prepared to be principled, global in perspective, and able to serve the needs of both business and society. Again, I have no doubt that you are prepared. The question is, are you willing to commit? All we can do here is prepare you. You have to make the choice to commit to how you will lead and how you will live. And class of 2012, I'm optimistic about the choice you will make. And with that, I salute you and congratulate you. Thank you.
Thank you for your remarks, Dean Thomas. Thank you all guests for joining us this afternoon, and congratulations to our students once more. We wish you well in all of your future endeavors and welcome you as members of the Georgetown and ESADE alumni families. Please rise as Father Spahn offers the benediction.
Almighty and loving God, we beseech you to pour forth your abundant blessings upon these graduates, their families, their friends and loved ones, and on all who have helped them arrive at this day, including their teachers, supervisors, advisors, employers, and colleagues. Protect and inspire them to pursue excellence, to remain engaged in the life of the world, and to leave it a better place. May your blessings come upon us all and remain with us always. Gratefully we pray. Amen.
Will our guests please remain standing at their places until the faculty and students have recessed? We ask that members of the class proceed directly to the front stairs of Healy Hall for class photos, while the members of the platform party and guests proceed to Riggs Library for the celebratory reception to which all are invited. Family and friends should follow the academic procession. The 2012 commencement exercises are now officially closed.